Hi, Andrew here. Are you any more free today? I asked this question because today is March 2. I'm not sure when this gets posted. And yesterday was the day when some of the most egregious mandates stopped being enforced. Not got dropped, not went away, stopped being enforced. I have spoken about Der Fuhrer of Alberta, Mr. Kenney, who handled his trucker protest with egregiously poor judgment and only got out to meet them because he faced a backbench revolt. And I have spoken of fat fascist fuckwit Ford in Ontario, who was dragged kicking and screaming by his big money donors to not to talk to the truckers or anything, but to accede to their demands without acceding to their demands. And he did an absolutely masterful job of it. Uh, the mandates were not dropped, they were not enforced. So here we are. 2 days ago, the virus was contagious and nasty and dangerous and yada, yada, yada. Yesterday, it all went away. Except it didn't. Because as I mentioned, the mandates are just not being enforced. The states of emergency that the provinces have declared to trample on our rights and order us around because they love it when we respect their authority, those mandates aren't gone. The states of emergency aren't gone. And the fat bastard in Queen's Park has said he'll cheerfully continue to provide support for businesses that wish to discriminate. And the goose-stepping prick who still has a pastor in jail for daring to hold religious services in February when Der Fuhrer Kenney said you can't do that. He said the same thing. Well, Kenney is facing a backbench revolt. That's why he was pushed to meet with the truckers, talk to the truckers, etc. And when he announced the ending of the enforcement of the mandates, and yet again, the fine print was, well, you can still do it, and we'll provide you the QR code support and all of that. So you can continue to discriminate. We still want our two-class society. We still want 10 to 20% of our society to be the dirty, unclean other who aren't allowed. And this is supposedly free right-wing Alberta. It's worse in Ontario. Our fat flobberworm of a premier is shutting down trucker businesses because they dared to disrespect his authority. I thought the Ontario PCs arrogated to themselves being the party of small businesses. Independent truckers are small businesses, Doug. Stomping on them doesn't make you the premier of small businesses. But again, to return to the situation in Alberta, I read this morning that now the province of Alberta is writing a law to ban municipalities from overruling provincial health guidelines. More top-down ordering people about. Edmonton, basically, as I understand it, wants to continue to enforce mask mandates. And or maybe it's the restaurant discrimination mandate. Where a week ago Kenney was all in for continuing to allow businesses to do this, now he's saying municipalities can't. I'm genuinely confused. Businesses can discriminate, municipalities can't discriminate. He's against the passports, but he's supporting the passports, and on and on and on. But it's all his flip-flopping and running is because of a backbench revolt, and he's facing a leadership review. You remember I mentioned that Doug Ford is the luckiest SOB in Canadian politics? That he's awful, absolutely effing god-awful, and he's up against worse, and oh my god, this woman's insane. That's what he's up against. And there's no backbench revolt. It was a combination of backbench revolt and the Senate telling him no, and probably the banking system getting really scared at what was happening to their bottom line and what was potentially going to happen to their bottom line over the War Measures Act, Emergency Measures Act, implemented by Blackface Hitler, that got Blackface Hitler to back off on the Emergency Measures Act. But Canada's still a prison colony. 15-20% of our citizens cannot leave the country because they can't get on a boat, can't get on a train, can't get on an airplane, they can't go into the airports unless they did what he said. Do you feel more free? You're not. Nothing's really changed. The only thing that has changed is they're not fully enforcing bad law. But the bad laws are on the books. The measures are on the books. The precedent exists. We're up to what, day 700 or 730 or whatever, day 700 of 15 days to flatten the curve. We're not any more free. They're just not stomping as hard. We are peacefully becoming ungovernable. Continue. If people want to voluntarily wear their masks, go ahead. If businesses want to put themselves out of business without thinking about the long-term effects of random discrimination, well, that's on them. But governments do not and should not exist to ensure our security. They exist to ensure our rights. And they're not doing that. So keep the pressure up. Anybody in Ontario, if you know one of those big money donors who leaned hard on Der Fuhrer Ford, talk to them. Lean harder. Or go to your MPP and get a leadership review. Start pushing. Maybe we can scare the yellow bastard into actually doing his job, not pretending to do his job.